Arizona Cardinals continue their search for their next head coach with some news on the weekend. Johnny Venerable Bobrock, PHNX Cardinals and Bo, confirmed by Tom Pelissero of NFL Network. The Cardinals did, in fact, get their interview in with Klint Kubiak, which we're told takes place here on Saturday.
Yeah, and Johnny, with a lackluster crop of coaches that the Arizona Cardinals have requested to interview, this was one of the two, at least according to this podcast, that I think would bring some much needed juice to this franchise that went 3-14. For them to be able to get in and get a first interview done with the hottest coordinator, I think, on the head coaching interview market was a little bit of a win for the team that desperately needed one going in and starting the wild card weekend.
Kubiak reportedly is a candidate. Baltimore, the Giants, the Raiders, the Falcons, and Arizona. So he had a full dance card. They, of course, have a first-round bye, so he did a virtual interview. It sounds like with Arizona, same thing, whenever Vance Joseph's interview took place. It's why the Cardinals' interview with Robert Saleh will need to take place next week. There's a window because, of course, the 49ers are preparing for their matchup this weekend against the Philadelphia Eagles. So you check a box. You check a box that you didn't check with Jonathan Gannon the first time around. That's why the Cardinals got in trouble. If we remember that, had to give up a third-round pick. So it's not everything, but it's not nothing. And it at least shows you that, okay, you're in the market for what we feel like, I think is general consensus, is a top 5 candidate in this cycle. And depending on who you talk to, the most intriguing, like, hot shot play caller, right? Like there's no Ben Johnson in this cycle, but this is the next best thing. He comes from the Shanahan tree, the McVay tree. Of course, his father was a longtime successful NFL coach. He's called plays. He's been with both, I believe, the Seahawks, and was he with the Rams once upon a time as well? So I mean, you got to feel good about the hierarchy, and this is the only individual, I think, Bo, you and I are in agreement that we would be okay with who doesn't have significant head coaching experience yet.
Right. Yeah, I think he's the only guy that I think would be deemed acceptable as far as a potential first-year guy, where everybody else, you'd like to see the Cardinals sniff around, have a little bit more experience, as the Cardinals have gone 0 for 3 as far as guys giving guys their first head coaching opportunity, most recently with Gannon, before that Cliff Kingsbury, and then before that Steve Wilks. It worked a little bit as far as Bruce Arians. He's 60 years old. He was well more established. You can kind of roll your eyes when you're saying, hey, this is the thing that most resembles Ben Johnson as far as this coaching cycle. You have to look at it from maybe the perspective of, this is Ben Johnson 2 years before he was really established as far as the top play caller in the league. He's coming off a top 3 performance as far as the Seahawks offense went. They scored the 3rd most points in the league. And then you just look at his resume. This is a guy that is slowly turning into the modern day quarterback whisperer. And what do you have a potential void at? Most likely on your roster, it's a quarterback. You're going to probably bring somebody in, and you want somebody that's going to be equipped to develop that quarterback. And I think as far as this coaching cycle, along with Mike McDaniel, this gives you the best option to do that.
Yeah, I misspoke. He was with the San Francisco 49ers, not the Rams. 2 years ago, he was the passing game coordinator the year Brock Purdy exploded onto the scene. And then, of course, he went to New Orleans last year, did some really good things with Derek Carr before that situation flamed out. And then the Seahawks were the benefactor of that en route to the number 1 seed. So, okay, we like Kubiak. We're excited about that. And hopefully this is not the last we hear of Kubiak with the Cardinals. We hope that he gets a physical interview at some point. And, you know, you look around the landscape, Mike McDaniel is set to interview with the Browns, right? We've heard about the Tennessee Titans now. They're connected to Robert Saleh. The Dolphins are trying to talk to Robert Saleh. Like, we need more quality candidates inserted into this job search. I mean, we spent ad nauseum the latter half of our week on PHNX Cardinals talking about it. The fact that they have not talked to Mike McCarthy, the fact they haven't talked to Mike McDaniel, that is concerning, especially at the time of this recording. We're watching Puka Nacua absolutely light up the Carolina Panthers. And with all due respect, Like, I can't imagine the Cardinals sitting back and saying, yeah, Vance Joseph will take care of this as the NFC West runs roughshod over, the NFC and the NFC playoffs. Most likely, the Cardinals need to be more serious, but it's difficult, Bo, because, credit them or maybe not, like, they're not releasing any information.
No, they're not, and they're not getting any information from potential head coach interview candidates as far as via the representation. Like there's no news, but sometimes you can say no news is good news. You can say it's a testament to the organization, but look, like when you're an organization that's desperate for getting some sort of good news surrounding them following just the disastrous 2025 season that was, and having to pivot off and yet another head coach after a short stint, all you'd say you want is to tie yourself to every candidate just to kind of see what sticks and what's going to track with the fan base. I think that's important. Not normally you would say, hey, the organization should have blinders on. They should have kind of make sure that they're making the best decision that they view for the organization. But I think they've lost that luxury, and that they need to be very open-minded to, what else is going to track beyond just finding a guy that's going to be a good fit for their team as their head coach.
Yeah, I feel like whether it's by choice or it's by negligence, like no one is locked into this team right now outside of this market. I even watched Jay Glazer did a roundup for Fox this morning of all the coaching searches. And he got to Arizona and he struggled to even know what to say. And I think, and I'm not saying he made things up, but he talked about, the Kyler Murray contract could be a deterrent. When you're talking about Miami is like a destination, and they've got the Tua contract, which has not kicked in. It's like, oh, yeah, watch out for that Kyler Murray contract. It's like, no, the Kyler Murray contract is done. They're going to move off of it. So fair or not, no one has a pulse of this team. Nobody. And maybe we're going to look back in 2 or 3 weeks and it was like blessing in disguise. They landed a great candidate and we can move forward now. Or the worst of all realities is they settle for somebody like Vance Joseph, like we've talked about ad nauseum. The Cardinals are an afterthought right now. And maybe they're using that to their advantage and they're going to roll up and unload the Brinks truck on a Saleh or a Kubiak or, somebody like that. And you're going to say, okay, they were laying in the weeds and they pounced. Here's the one thing I'll tell them, that if you're sitting back and you're thinking to yourself, like, this is hopeless, what's going on? Nobody had it pegged. Nobody that Gannon was getting fired until he got fired. So they're playing everything close to the vest. I know you have to inform agents of interviews and they clearly don't want things out there. They want to keep this in-house, but I think they could use the positive press right now. I don't know why that they're not, allowing the fan base to follow along with their coaching search.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as far as the optics of it right now, as we talked on Friday's show, it's pointing to the indecisiveness as far as Gannon's future going into Black Monday. It looks like an organization that's behind the 8 ball as far as its coaching shirts now. But look, if you're working in the shadows and you're playing it tight to the vest, and then Monti Ossenfort is rolling into the facility for an introductory press conference with a real time, a ton of juice as far as a new head coach, a Saleh, a Kubiak, a McCarthy, saying, get the F in, we're going to go compete for the NFC West, like, then that's going to change everything. But as far as everybody stands right now, you have every right to be skeptical as like, which direction's this thing going based on last time's coaching search, the candidates, what they turn into be, to the current crop of guys where 2 of 8 are really only ones that give any general kind of, juice, optimism, appeal, whatever you want to call it. It's been a grind, but Kubiak checking that box. It's a rare dub for the Cardinals organization.
No doubt about it. We are 48 hours removed from any recent updates or additions to that list. Will it continue to grow? If it does, of course, we're going to keep you up and informed here at PHNX Sports, PHNX Cardinals. For Bo, I'm Johnny Venerable. Hit that like button. We'll see you on the next one.